Well, when we talk about getting ready for a new year and people's thoughts turn to projects even in the home, remodeling is a topic that a lot of people think about when they're writing out their New Year's resolutions of things they want to make sure get done in the year ahead.
Yeah, especially if they're coming off of the holidays and New Year's, you were out visiting family and friends and you see what they did over the last year and you start thinking about, well, what can we do with ours?
What should we do this year? And hopefully you have seen our other video. If not, I want to send you over to look for it. We've posted a video that gives you the top 5 things you can do from a remodeling point of view that may bring value to your home or maintain value in the home if at some point you go to sell it. So in this video, we're going to take a different path. While we've shared the top 5 things you want to consider doing, in this video, we're going to give you top 5 things to watch out for.
Right.
These are home remodeling projects that may typically not bring good resale value.
Right.
I think we should talk about that too.
Let's talk about that.
Well, welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Terry with MVP Realty.
I'm Rich with MVP Realty.
You know, we're talking remodeling, and so this is sort of the flip side of the coin. Remodeling can be a huge asset to a home, both from its livability and your enjoyment of the home, as well as the potential to bring value upon resale. But home remodeling can also go sideways, and
Right.
it can be things that really typically don't add resale value to a home.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I love talking about the fun stuff, we should probably talk about the practical side. So we should probably talk about the things that people should look out for, because there are some remodeling situations and projects that just tend not to bring that value back.
Right. It's maybe something that you like, and if you're going to live there, that's wonderful. But if you're thinking about doing that to enhance your property for sale, it's probably not the way to go.
Absolutely. So we'll share 5 areas to be careful and think about if you're going to put your list together for your remodeling priorities in the new year. So the first one is, oh, I'm so sorry to say this, kids spaces. Sorry,
Right.
kids.
Yeah.
So why would kids spaces be such a watch out area?
It's something that's going to be more specific to certain buyers and not necessarily to many others.
That's a really good point. And so when we think about kids spaces, well, clearly kids have their bedrooms and their playroom, etc. But sometimes in remodeling, families decide to do very, I'll say, exotic things. They put chalkboards on permanently on major walls in rooms that the kids are using.
Right.
They may create even a climbing wall or something, an inside slide. I've seen all kinds of things that you would never imagine that someone would invest in
Right.
their home, but for their kids, and they
Right.
want their kids to have a fabulous time. And it can be great for a short time,
Right.
and maybe not great for the long term. First, those kids are going to grow up.
Right.
And so from an age-specific thing, how long is the lifespan of that
Right.
remodel?
Right.
And then to your point, as every other buyer potentially comes in, people who might want your home, is that going to fit their living situation?
Right, and they look at it, again, as a project that they're going to have to fix.
They're going to have to remove something that you spent a lot of time and put a lot of heart into. And so be careful in kids' spaces. Fresh coats of paint do great in any room for any purpose, having good flooring and that
Right.
sort of thing. But think about the overall utility of the space, not only to your family, but to the next buyer as
Right.
well. So kids space is one of those 5 watch out areas
Right.
that can come up during a remodel that may not bring the same resale value that you might be looking for.
Right.
So number 2 is a very interesting one to talk about, especially because we're talking about real estate in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
This article from Houzz magazine that talks about these top 5 things to be careful about in remodeling is really talking about the perspective across the country,
Nationwide.
across geographies, climates, because the next one they list, and I'm not sure where to put this one on our list, is pools.
Pool.
It may not be the same deal in Florida.
It isn't, and when we lived up north and we had a pool, and depending upon where up north you are, you can only really use it 3-4 months, maybe 5 out of the year. And a lot of people say, I don't want the pool, it's a lot of work, and then the kids are going to school and so on and so forth. So in those areas, You're never going to get back what you put into the pool. If you do it again, if you do it for your own enjoyment, then that's wonderful. Just enjoy it. But pools do not add, and sometimes, and depending upon where you are, it could actually be a negative.
Could detract from value from your home, from
yes.
the home that doesn't have it.
Right.
In Florida, we tend, not always, but we tend to see the situation reversed. A pool often does bring value in Florida, and so we might take a little bit of exception with in this priority, as the article described
market.
it, but we understand the article is talking
Sure.
about something much bigger than the Florida market. There is a degree, though, to which this is still important, and
Right.
it might be the type of pool, the amount of money that you invest in the pool, whether it's to add a pool or to refurbish a pool.
Right.
There's a point at which you're going to see diminishing returns on that investment, because
There
pools
is.
can cost a fortune. You can make them look like outdoor playgrounds, right? I mean, they
Absolutely.
just have slides and features and all sorts of things that can be
Absolutely.
very, very expensive.
Some of the things that are very important that we see people looking for in pools down here is the pool and a spa. So if you're going to consider putting in a pool, consider adding the spa, because if you're going to have the heater anyways, and they're going to be digging the hole anyways, they just have to dig the hole a little bit bigger. And yeah, it does add some cost to it, but it sure does add a value. And I know, like even for ourselves, there's a lot of times, especially in the winter months, rather than heating the whole pool, we just heat the spa and we enjoy the spa.
And you can act like a pool, or you can actually heat it up to hot tub
Right.
temperatures, and
Right.
people in Florida think about that. And so how you do a pool and the extent to which you do a pool, talk to your pool contractor and get some guidance there. So pools are on the list. They're probably not as big a watch out in Florida and in Southwest Florida here in the greater Naples area as they might be someplace else, but
Right.
it's all a matter of degree. So
right.
it's on the list, and we want to make sure we're thinking about it and being thoughtful. Now, the next one is interesting because people have a lot of really cool ideas about making their home really unique. Like it might say, oh, let's add a wine room,
Yes.
or
Right.
a humidor area,
Exactly.
or what else?
You can put in
media?
a media room or a place for billiards and things like that.
So when you do that, you have to think again that you're creating a very specific use of space.
Right.
It may or may not be an efficient use of the square footage in the long run for someone else.
Right.
And even the activity that you're focusing on in that room may or may not be an activity that's going to appeal to the widest array of buyers in your price range.
Right.
And I think that's why it's on the list. It can be intriguing, and yet people may say, I don't really want that in my house.
I don't need the theater room, so I'm not gonna, I don't.
Or a
want
dedicated wine room with the
Right.
storage, and
Right,
all of that might go with it, and it could be temperature controlled and things. So again, when you do those because it's important to you. You're going to stay there a long time, and you're going to reap the value, and you don't expect to see, a high percentage of your dollars returned to you.
Right.
In fact, you may disassemble some of that when you go to sell your home.
That's right.
To neutralize it, and so there's an additional expense coming down the line for you if you have to basically remove your feature room.
Right. Yeah. Don't put in the home theater to sell the house. That's for sure.
Right? So that's an important one. So these really exotic feature rooms are something that we say, is a reasonable caution. Another thing that is on the list, it's the fourth thing on the list, is taking features away from a home. Now, when you read the article, they talk about, again, geographies nationwide. They're saying things like, think before you pull out a fireplace. And fireplaces, we don't have as many in Florida,
Right.
and it may or may not be a big deal to a buyer.
It's not going to be missed when a buyer walks into that house. And they're not going to be, where's the fireplace?
No, that's not what they're looking for. But there are other things they are looking for that
Right.
you could unintentionally devalue your home by using some space in a renovation and, in essence, taking a feature away.
Right.
How do you think that could play out in our market?
Well, one of the biggest things is a garage. We've seen sometimes where people take that garage and they turn it into another room. They may turn it into a wine room or a media room. So now you're hitting two items on the don't do list. And people want garages. Again, we have little storage down here because we don't have basements. You can't really use the attics. So you need some area for storage, and you don't want to put your big, nice, brand new car sitting out in the sun all year long when you're baking.
Baking. So having a garage and not getting rid of the garage
Right.
might be more important in Florida than it could be in some other parts of the country, where if someone said, well, I'm going to enclose the garage, make it another living room, and put the car outside, it might not be as big a deal. In Florida, that might be a watch out.
Right.
The other thing could be, if you're thinking about remodeling in your outdoor space, I would say be careful before you remove your outdoor kitchen. You might remodel it or do something to modify it, but if you take that kind of a feature away, the ability to cook extensively
Right.
outside in Florida, you're possibly removing a feature that would appeal to quite a number of buyers in
Right.
our market.
You might remove that pool, which, there you go. It's, and rather, or the pool equipment's broken, maybe I'll just have it filled in.
Think about that.
That could be a mistake.
So the difference there about keeping it refreshed, maybe repairing it, and or at least just leaving it, even if you aren't using it the way you used to, that can all be important for you. Well, we've gotten to 4 out of the top 5 tips to be careful about if you're remodeling a home, and there's one tip to go. Now, before we share the tip, I have something else to share, which is if you're finding some value in this video, you know what I'm going to say. Give this a thumbs up, please. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and hit the button or the bell to turn on notifications. That helps our channel so much, and we really thank you in advance for doing that. It lets you know every time we post a new episode to this channel, and hopefully our tips along the way across all things real estate in Southwest Florida are helpful to you. But it also lets the YouTube algorithm know other people to expose these videos to, so that they can get the value from them as well. So thank you in advance for giving it the thumbs up, for subscribing, and for turning on notifications. Now there's one more tip about being careful on remodeling. I'm not sure this one is going to be as big a deal in Florida. Let's see what our viewers say, and if you have some thoughts about these top 5 watch out areas, leave a comment below. The last one is what they call minor additions.
Right.
That's almost like you put a toe in, but you just don't go far enough. You're going to make an addition to your home, and you just don't add value. You go to a lot of trouble and expense, and you only gonna go halfway.
Sometimes just adding a little bit can cost an awful lot of money, and certainly on a resale, you're not going to really see that come back to you.
Right. So what could happen is someone might have a room where they think they're going to bump out a window space to get just a tiny bit more of a seating area. And in the scheme of things, if you had a 2,000 square foot home, maybe you end up with 2,050 square feet.
Right.
Is a buyer going to perceive a difference from
and
the original to the new?
It may have
maybe
cost
not.
you $10,000 to do that,
and maybe nobody else can see
it.
it.
No one can see it, exactly.
They can't really tell. Now in Florida, because of the way our homes are constructed, and because many people are living in HOA communities, it may not be as prevalent that people are going to knock out a wall, extend a room, add new roofing and new windows and everything. You have to go through HOA approval in many communities to do that if you're in a planned community. And even if you're not, you're going to think about how much space you have.
The building requirements are so much different in Florida than they are in up north, so that you have to be aware of to do that. So it's not going to be an inexpensive project to add on a foot.
Right, and so if you're going to do it in a way that gives you usable space, that is a productive use of your money, and that you and the next homeowner can get the benefit of that living space having been added to the cost basis of your house.
Right.
So those are the top 5 tips that we would say to watch out for if you're thinking about putting remodeling on your to-do list and your goals and objectives for the new year. And we hope you find this helpful. If you have specific questions about your house and you're thinking about getting ready to sell it, then please do reach out, contact us. Our contact information is below in the description to the video. And we'd love to talk to you about things that might be helpful in your situation, so that you're thinking about it and getting someone to bounce ideas off of even before you make that commitment. And I'd also say certainly your contract partners are a really good source of what works and what might not be as optimal for you.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So that's it for today. We hope you enjoyed the video. Till we post again, I hope you have a great rest of the day, everybody. See you next time.
Bye now.